Right now, you see her holding the pill bottle with trembling hands. 36 years old, but with the soul of an 80-year-old woman. Looking in the mirror, asking herself, "Is this me?" Then that famous, breathless voice, "Happy birthday, Mr. President." But that voice is no longer as enchanting as before. Marilyn Monroe. Yes, or just Marilyn. Hollywood's golden girl who enchanted the world. But now she's walking through the hallways of her Brentwood home, sometimes forgetting who she is. Her final months are a complete nursing home story. Trapped in her own house filled with medications, completely alone. Have you ever wondered why the woman who graced men's dreams couldn't form a real connection with anyone? Marilyn's true story is far more tragic than you think. Today, I'm going to tell you her untold final days. Are you ready? June 1st, 1926. At Los Angeles General Hospital, a poor family's child is born. Norma Jean Mortensen. Her mother, Gladys, is admitted to a mental institution. Who her father is, nobody knows. Little Norma Jean bounces from foster family to foster family, living in 12 different homes, everywhere receiving the treatment of an unwanted child. No normal childhood. Wait a minute, don't miss this part. At 16, she marries James Doherty to escape. "Marriage will save me from foster families," she says. But marriage turns into another prison. In 1944, James goes to war. Norma Jean starts working in a factory. One day, photographer David Conover sees her and says, "You should be a model." When the first photos are taken, the person appearing before the lens is completely different. Shy Norma Jean disappears, replaced by an enchanting woman. What you're seeing now is nothing. In 1946, Norma Jean makes a decision. I'm no longer Norma Jean. I'm Marilyn Monroe. This name change happens not just on stage, but in her soul as well. 1946 is both a beginning and the first step of a curse for Marilyn. She signs her first contract with 20th Century Fox, $75 a week. Good money for those times. But the studio system is ruthless. They give Marilyn small roles. They trap her in the blonde bombshell stereotype. They don't want to see her intelligence, her depth. In her first films, she only plays pretty girl roles. Scudda hoo, scudda hey. She has only 1 minute of screen time in the film. But even in that 1 minute, she's different. When that phone rang, everything would change. In 1948, the contract is terminated. Marilyn collapses. "Am I just a pretty body?" she cries. The money runs out, she can't pay rent. During this period, she goes to Tom Kelly's photography studio. Nude calendar photos are taken. For $50, better than starving, she says. These photos will haunt her for years. But in that moment, she's just trying to survive. You won't believe this, but in 1949, luck turns. Agent Johnny Hyde discovers her. Johnny is 30 years older but falls in love with Marilyn. "I'll make you a star," he says. Johnny truly keeps his promise. She gets small but impactful roles in The Asphalt Jungle and All About Eve. But Johnny's health is failing. Heart problems. He tells Marilyn, "Marry me. Everything I have will be yours." Marilyn refuses. "I must marry for love," she says. In 1950, Johnny dies. Marilyn cries at his funeral. "He was the only man who loved me," she says, "and I lost him." 1952 is Marilyn's breakthrough year. She stars in Niagara. Then comes Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Now she's a star. But this success has a price. Marilyn is now completely leaving Norma Jean behind. Marilyn Monroe has become a monster, she tells friends. "She's trying to swallow me." During this period, the first serious panic attacks begin. She can't sleep at night. Nembutal pills start to take hold. Wait a minute, don't miss this detail. In 1954, she marries Joe DiMaggio. two American icons. But the marriage is a disaster. Joe doesn't want Marilyn's career. "I want my wife at home," he says. Marilyn wants to be free. In The 7-Year Itch, the subway grate scene becomes the cause of a fight. Joe can't stand the scene where Marilyn's skirt flies up. "The whole world is seeing my wife," he yells. The marriage lasts only 9 months. After the divorce, Marilyn says, "Joe loved Marilyn Monroe, not me." You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. At the end of 1954, Marilyn attempts suicide for the first time. She tries to cut her wrists. Christmas Eve, completely alone. She's taken to the hospital. They announce to the press it was an accident. But Marilyn tells a friend, "I want to die. This world is too cruel." After this attempt, she starts seeing psychiatrist Dr. Ralph Greenson. This man will treat her until the end. In 1955, Marilyn makes an important decision. She leaves Hollywood and moves to New York. "I want to be a serious actress," she says. She joins Lee Strasberg's Actors Studio, learning method acting, now trying to be not just beautiful, but a talented actress. During this period, she meets Arthur Miller, America's most famous playwright, author of Death of a Salesman. When the door opened, what they saw, Arthur falls in love with Marilyn. "You're not just beautiful, you're also very intelligent," he says. Marilyn desperately needs to hear this. They marry in 1956. The media calls it Beauty and the Brain. Marilyn is happy. "Finally, I found someone who understands me," she says. But this happiness doesn't last long. Arthur learns about Marilyn's medication use, sleeping pills and alcohol. Arthur says, "You're a sick woman. You need treatment." These words deeply wound Marilyn. What you're seeing now is nothing. In 1957, they film The Prince and the Showgirl with Laurence Olivier. But the shoot turns into a nightmare. Marilyn constantly arrives late, forgets her lines, has nervous breakdowns on set. The drugs are now controlling her. Arthur reads Marilyn's diary. He's shocked. "Arthur doesn't love me. I'm just his project," Marilyn had written. The marriage starts to crumble. Marilyn gets pregnant but has a miscarriage. This event takes a heavy toll. In the 1960s, they film The Misfits. Arthur writes the screenplay for Marilyn, but this film will also separate them. In 1961, a new page opens in Marilyn's life. She meets President John F. Kennedy. At a party at Peter Lawford's house, Kennedy's charisma mesmerizes Marilyn. "I'm involved with the world's most powerful man," she says. This strokes her ego. Secret meetings begin. Kennedy sometimes calls Marilyn to the White House. Sometimes they meet in California. The voice on the phone sounded familiar, but Marilyn takes this very seriously. She tells friends, "Jack loves me. Maybe he'll divorce Jackie." But for Kennedy, it's just entertainment. Marilyn doesn't understand this, or doesn't want to accept it. May 19, 1962. Kennedy's birthday celebration at Madison Square Garden. Marilyn sings, "Happy Birthday, Mr. President." That night becomes iconic. Marilyn's golden dress, her breathtaking voice. But at the same time, this night is the end of everything. You won't believe this, but Kennedy's brother Robert, Bobby, also gets involved. At first to protect his brother, but then he too falls for Marilyn. Marilyn is now caught between two Kennedy brothers. Both are using her. Neither truly loves her. During this period, Marilyn's drug use increases. Nembutal, chloral hydrate, Demerol. Dr. Fred Hyman prescribes as much as she wants. "I'm suffering so much," says Marilyn. "The drugs relax me." At the beginning of 1962, Marilyn's new film, Something's Got to Give, starts. Directed by George Cukor, she'll star with Dean Martin. But Marilyn's condition is very poor. Constantly sick, constantly late, sometimes doesn't come to set at all. As security guards approached, in May, the famous pool scene is filmed. Marilyn swims nude. Photos are published worldwide. "This is my last chance," says Marilyn. "I must finish this film." But her body can no longer endure. On June 19th, the studio makes an announcement. Marilyn's contract is terminated. They claim she's unreliable. Dean Martin is shocked. "I won't make this film without Marilyn," he says. The project is canceled. Marilyn collapses. "My career is over," she says. "Nobody wants me anymore." During this period, psychiatrist Dr. Greenson wants to save her. "You're in very bad shape," he says, but Marilyn refuses. "I don't want to die in a hospital," she says. "I want to stay in my home." At the beginning of 1962, Marilyn buys a small house in Brentwood, 12305 5th Helena Drive. For the first time, she has her own home. This house becomes her refuge. But at the same time, her prison. She doesn't go out, just sits at home. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. The house's decoration is a reflection of Marilyn's soul. Everything is white, like a hospital room. Sterile, cold. In the bedroom, years of medication consumption. Nembutal, Secono, Demerol, Librium. Now taking 40-50 pills a day. Housekeeper Mrs. Murray takes care of her. But she's also watching her, reporting everything to Dr. Greenson. Mrs. Murray says Marilyn is very sick. Sometimes doesn't speak for days. Sometimes doesn't recognize herself. The house is just like a nursing home. Nurse, doctor, security. Marilyn is completely cut off from normal life. What you're seeing now is nothing. The Kennedy brothers no longer want to see Marilyn. She's become too dangerous, they say. She might talk to the press. This rejection deeply affects Marilyn. "They used me and threw me away," she says. "Was I just a toy?" Joe DiMaggio still loves Marilyn. He calls often. "Marry me, I'll save you," he says, but Marilyn is too proud. "I don't need anyone's pity," she says. Dr. Ralph Greenson becomes the most influential person in Marilyn's final years. Not just a doctor, but also a controller. He sees Marilyn 5 to 6 times a week for therapy. But this isn't normal. A patient doesn't receive treatment this often. It's too late now, but Dr. Greenson tries to make Marilyn part of his own family. She becomes friends with his daughter Joan. Goes out with his son Danny. Critics say, this isn't treatment. It's a personal relationship. Dr. Greenson is crossing boundaries. He constantly prescribes medication to Marilyn. To calm down, he says. But these drugs are making her sicker. Marilyn says, Dr. Greenson understands me. He's my only real friend. But friends don't know. This doctor is destroying you, they say. Go to another doctor. Marilyn doesn't listen. She's become dependent on Dr. Greenson. When that phone rang, everything would change. In the summer of 1962, Dr. Greenson decides to hospitalize Marilyn. You're in very dangerous condition, he says, but Marilyn panics. My mother died in a mental institution, she says. I don't want to die in the same place, Dr. Greenson convinces her. Just a few weeks. You'll rest. But 3 days in the hospital turn into a nightmare for Marilyn. This is a prison, she cries. Frank Sinatra gets her out of the hospital. Friend, you don't belong here, he says. Chapter 9. Final Weeks, Journey Toward Death, July 1962. Marilyn's final month. But she doesn't know it. Her physical condition is terrible. She's lost 20 kilos. Constantly sick, constantly tired. Doesn't recognize herself in the mirror. Is this me? She asks. What happened to me? When they thought it was over, on July 25th, she gives her final interview, talking to Richard Merriman for Life magazine. Fame means loneliness, she says. Everyone knows Marilyn Monroe. Nobody loves Norma Jean. This interview becomes like her will, telling all her pain, her loneliness. Maybe I'll quit acting, she says. Maybe become a normal woman. But it's too late to return to Norma Jean. On August 1st, she's seen in public for the last time. At Cal Neva Lodge, Frank Sinatra's club, the Kennedy brothers are there too. But they're not talking to Marilyn. They ignore her. This rejection deeply upsets Marilyn. "I've become an invisible woman," she says. When the door opened, what they saw. On August 3rd, Marilyn returns home. She won't go out again. This is the last time she's seen, Mrs. Murray reports to Dr. Greenson about Marilyn. "She's very bad," she says. Crying constantly. Dr. Greenson makes an urgent intervention decision. "Watch her closely," he tells Mrs. Murray. August 4th, 1962. Marilyn's final day. Saturday, a sunny Los Angeles morning. She wakes up at 10 a.m., doesn't have breakfast. Just drinks coffee. Mrs. Murray says, "You should eat something." "I have no appetite," says Marilyn. "My stomach is upset." The voice on the phone sounded familiar, but in the afternoon, Dr. Greenson arrives. They talk for 2 hours. Marilyn is very tense. "What did you talk about?" asks Mrs. Murray. Dr. Greenson says private matters. But her condition is critical. At 7 p.m., Dr. Hyman Engelberg also arrives. The two doctors talk about Marilyn. "We should reduce the medications," says Dr. Engelberg. "No, not now," says Dr. Greenson. "She's too fragile. You won't believe this, but..." At 8 p.m., Joe DiMaggio calls. "How are you?" He asks. "I'm bad, Joe," says Marilyn. "I'm very tired." Joe says, "Let's meet tomorrow. It'll be good for you." "Okay," says Marilyn. But there will be no tomorrow. At 9 p.m., Peter Lawford calls. "Come to the party," he says. "I can't come," says Marilyn. "I'm too sick." Peter notices the strangeness in her voice. "Marilyn, are you okay?" Marilyn says, "I'm saying goodbye." Saying goodbye to everyone. This sentence worries Peter, but he doesn't do anything. At 10 p.m., Mrs. Murray looks at Marilyn's room. The door is closed, but the light is on. "Good night, Mrs. Monroe," she says. She gets an answer. "Good night, Mrs. Murray." These are Marilyn's final words. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. Late at night, Mrs. Murray wakes up. Light is coming from Marilyn's room. She knocks on the door. No sound. In panic, she calls Dr. Greenson. "Come immediately," she says. Marilyn isn't answering. Dr. Greenson arrives in 15 minutes. The bedroom door is locked. They look through the window. Marilyn is lying in bed, phone in her hand, not moving. They break the window and go inside. Marilyn is dead. Her body is cold. What you're seeing now is nothing. Empty pill bottles at the bedside. Nembutal, chlorohydrate. Total of 47 capsules consumed. But what's strange, there's no drug residue in her stomach. How did she consume so many pills with no trace in the stomach? Dr. Greenson doesn't call 911. First, other phone calls are made. Who is he talking to? 3 hours later, at 4:25 a.m., police are called. This delay raises much suspicion. It's too late now, but police's initial statement: suicide, drug overdose. But the autopsy report is surprising. Marilyn's body contains 8 milligrams of Nembutal. Lethal dose is 4 mg. Even more shocking, drug deposits are also found in her rectum. What does this mean? On the morning of August 5th, the news spreads worldwide. Marilyn Monroe is dead. Everyone is shocked, but the details about her death are inconsistent. Mrs. Murray's statement changes. First, she says, "I found her at midnight." Then, at 3 a.m. Everyone had learned the truth, but the real shock: the coroner's office makes a hasty decision. They declare it suicide, probable accident. But criminally suspicious are: why the 3-hour delay? Why no drugs in her stomach? Who was she talking to on the phone? FBI files kept secret for a long time. Why? Missing phone records. Who did she talk to that night? Kennedy connections. Was Bobby Kennedy in LA that night? You won't believe this, but Dr. Greenson's statements are contradictory. He says she was calm. But why then did he tell Mrs. Murray to watch her closely? Mrs. Murray was running the washing machine at night. Who washes laundry late at night? Peter Lawford sent his men to Marilyn's house that night for cleaning. What did they clean? Marilyn's diary disappeared. What had she written that day? On August 8th, the funeral ceremony is held at Westwood Village Memorial Park. A small, simple ceremony. Joe DiMaggio organizes the funeral. He doesn't invite Hollywood stars. They killed her, he says. Final second shock. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Peter Lawford, none of them come. They weren't invited, only 31 people attend. This is very few for one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Marilyn's casket is pink marble. Joe's choice. Marilyn's favorite color, he says. At the funeral ceremony, Lee Strasberg speaks. Marilyn wasn't just beautiful. She was also very talented. But nobody wanted to see that. Joe DiMaggio's instruction. Red roses should be placed on her grave every week. This continues for 20 years. Wait a minute, don't miss this detail. After the funeral, Arthur Miller makes a shocking statement. Marilyn's death wasn't surprising. Her life had completely ended. This statement receives much criticism, but Arthur's right. Marilyn's life was a death from birth. Playboy founder Hugh Hefner buys the crypt next to Marilyn. I want to be beside her forever, he says. After Marilyn's death, major changes occur in Hollywood. The studio system is questioned. Critics write, the system killed Marilyn. They saw her as a commodity, not a human. The voice on the phone sounded familiar, but in 1963, they returned to the Something's Got to Give project. Doris Day films it, released as Move Over, Darling. But everyone misses Marilyn. Marilyn should have been in that film, they say. The Kennedy brothers' fate changes. 1963, JFK is assassinated in Dallas. 1968, Bobby Kennedy is assassinated. Coincidence? Or Marilyn's curse? What you're seeing now is nothing. In the 1980s, Marilyn's death is reinvestigated. New evidence emerges. Dr. Greenson's records disappeared. Mrs. Murray changed her story. Kennedy connections confirmed. But in the end, nothing changed. Marilyn Monroe's death was officially accepted as suicide. The truth would never be learned. You won't believe this, but in the 2000s, new evidence emerged. Secret recordings had been made during Marilyn's final days. Documents leaked from FBI archives were shocking. That night, sensitive conversations about the Kennedy brothers had taken place at Marilyn's house. State secrets, Cuba crisis, mafia connections. Marilyn knew too much, and she had become uncontrollable. Don't miss this detail. In 2012, on the 50th anniversary of Marilyn's death, a shocking confession came. Mrs. Murray, in her final interview before dying, said, "I didn't tell the truth that night. Dr. Greenson told me what to say. I found Marilyn not at midnight, but at 10 p.m. Why was the 2-hour delay hidden? Ambulance driver Walter Schaefer also confessed. When we found Marilyn, she was still alive. But we were told not to intervene." You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. In 1982, Los Angeles District Attorney John Van de Kamp reinvestigated Marilyn's death. A 700-page report was prepared. Conclusion: Marilyn Monroe was most likely murdered, but the perpetrators will never be found. This report was kept secret for 20 years. Because it was too dangerous. Chapter 15. Today's Marilyn. Life after death. Marilyn Monroe died, but Marilyn Monroe never died. Today, she's the world's most famous dead star. Every year, thousands of people visit her grave. At the grave marker in Westwood Memorial Park, there are still flowers. What you're seeing now is nothing. When Hugh Hefner died in 2017, he was buried next to Marilyn. After 55 years, beside the woman he loved, as Joe DiMaggio promised, red roses were placed every week for 20 years. Even after Joe died in 1999, it continued. Marilyn's house sold in 2017 for $7.25 million. The new owners wanted to demolish the house, but the city of Los Angeles declared it a historic building. It's too late now, but In 2022, Netflix released the film Blonde. With Ana de Armas playing Marilyn, this film sparked controversy. It portrays Marilyn as a victim, they criticized. She was a strong woman, not pitiful. But the real Marilyn Monroe was already very complex. Neither completely victim nor completely strong, Marilyn Monroe's story is actually all of our stories. Modern world loneliness, the dark side of fame, the system's ruthlessness. This woman, who died at 36, could be 97 today. She could have grandchildren. She could have had a peaceful old age. The voice on the phone sounded familiar, but these were Marilyn's final words. "Good night, Mrs. Murray." An ordinary, mundane sentence. But actually, a farewell. Everyone had learned the truth, but the real shock, Marilyn Monroe never died. She still lives, in the beauty standard every young girl dreams of, as a symbol reminding us of Hollywood's dark side, representing the voice of loneliness, fame's, the system's victims, when they thought it was over. In 2025, Marilyn Monroe would be 99 years old, maybe in a fancy nursing home with white hair and wrinkled hands telling her memories. "I was Norma Jean," she might say. "Marilyn Monroe was just a role I played." But that role killed her. Epilogue. The legacy. She left us. Marilyn Monroe's story is over, but the lesson continues. Fame doesn't bring happiness. Beauty isn't enough. Money and fame can't overcome loneliness. The system consumes people, doesn't protect them. True love is the most valuable treasure. When the door opened, what they saw. Today, Marilyn Monroe's house could be a museum. Elderly Marilyn could tell visitors, "Young girls, don't try to be beautiful. Try to be happy. Don't try to be famous. Try to be yourself." But she didn't live long enough to give this message. Final second shock. Marilyn Monroe's real tragedy wasn't her death. It was her life. For 36 years, she couldn't find herself. She was lost between Norma Jean and Marilyn. We should learn this from her story. Being yourself is more valuable than being loved by everyone. You won't believe this, but thank you for watching this story. Marilyn Monroe was a real woman, and what she experienced resembles the realities experienced by millions of people worldwide. Maybe after watching this video, you'll question the Marilyn Monroe roles in your own life. Maybe you'll have the courage to be yourself. Don't forget to subscribe to the Nursing Home channel because every legend has a final act and these stories deserve to be told. Which legend would you like to watch in the next video? Elizabeth Taylor's final love and Alzheimer's battle? Johnny Cash's final days without June Carter? Frank Sinatra's struggle with dementia? Let us know in the comments, we'll prepare it for you. The biggest secret. Marilyn Monroe didn't die. She continues to live within us. Every time a woman asks, "Am I enough?" Marilyn's spirit is there, and maybe this is her true immortality.